Bat Hashem, doing Parachat Nitzavim. In Parachat Nitzavim, it says, "Natem Nitzavim Hayom Kulechem." You're all standing here today. Means Moshe Rabbeinu has gathered them, and he's about to do like a brit, a covenant with them, right? So he said, "Atem Nitzavim." What does it mean, Atem Nitzavim? It's like you're standing here. Okay, yeah, everybody's standing. Well, what's the chidush? Rashi says, "Atem Nitzavim," because Nitzavim comes after Parashat Kitavo. And last week in Parashat Kitavo was 98 kilalot, or brachot, right? Like Chazal called brachot, right? So the Parashat Kitavo is a repetition of Parashat Bechukotai. In Parashat Bechukotai there was 49 kilalot. In Parashat Nitzavim, Kitavo, which is a repetition, the kilalot were doubled, 98. And besides the 98, he says, "V'gam kol machol v'kol makah asher lo katuv b'sefer haTorah hazeh." There's also two more kilalot which are not written here. If you don't study Torah, if you don't learn, practice Torah, it's going to come on you, and that's the scariest part. They just heard that. Two that are not written. Already you read the written ones. Just the written ones are so scary to the point no one wants to give aliyah on the Shabbat, right? Last Shabbat, the shul was almost empty. So I says, yeah, it's Moroccans. No one wanted to have the chance to go up to the Aliyah. He didn't want to be called to the Aliyah of Chamishishi, right?
Last week I was at a shul. They sold that one for the highest amount.
Chazak, that's Ashkenazim problem.
No, Sfaradim.
No, you know why? Because they sold it so they wouldn't get it. So they get to the rabbis. I'm not
Chazak? Yafeh, that's a good shita too. But anyways, even the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he shows you, he gives you one example out of 98. He gives us one example. He takes Shorcha tavoach le'enecha, lo tochal meno, tzoncha, netonim la'am acher. He takes this pasuk, you read it backwards, the whole pasuk is brachot. Wow. Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, I showed it to somebody, he was flipping. He says, wow, if you read it just backwards, the whole pasuk with klala is brachot. So this is only one example. Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, because we don't know how to read it. So be'emet, when you see it, it looks like kilalot, but each one of them is brachot. Each one of them is blessing. B'kitzu, Am Yisrael listen from Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, they got so scared, they were not able to get off bed. The next morning, they were not able to stand. Comes Moshe Rabbeinu, Atem Nitzavim, get up, don't worry. It's good to know that there's consequences. It's good to know that if you don't do certain things, this is what's going to happen to you. It's good to know. They said the Gaon of Vilna, Rabbi Leon Vilna, one time he was speaking about Gehenam, and he was describing what's in Gehenam, the type of punishments, how do you get judged, you know. He had a Talmid, after this class, for 3 days didn't show up. So he asked everybody, where is this Talmid? He says, he got sick from the shiur that you said last week. So the Gaon of Vilna went to see him. He says, what happened? He says, Rebbe, wow, what you said got me so scared I couldn't get out of bed. He became sick. He says, but I have to tell you something. You don't have to stay in bed or this is the truth. You're supposed to know the truth. The problem is people try to ignore the truth. In this week's parasha, in Parashat Nitzavim, it says, right? Some people say, oh, shalom yeh li ki b'shirut libi elech. Even though he sees the kilalot, right? וראה את כל העלה הזאת וכל העלה, he says, שלום יהיה לי, it's not going to happen to me. You know many mitzvot I do, I help people, you know, okay, I'm not the best at doing mitzvot, I'm not the best in keeping Shabbat, sometimes, but שלום יהיה לי. The Torah says in this week's parasha, לא יובא השם סלח לו. If you say that, Hashem is never going to forgive you. Right? כל האומר הקדוש ברוך הוא ותרן, יוותרו בני מאוהים. If you say הקדוש ברוך הוא is going to forgive me, then Hashem doesn't forgive you. Hashem forgives to the people try to be good, to be honest, to be practicing, to do things. But if you purposely say, to begin with, you say, oh, nothing's going to happen to me. Oh, Hashem, you know, I'm good buddies with Hashem. Me and Hashem, wow, you know, me and Hashem were good buddies. Lo yaveh Hashem slach lo, right? So the Gaon of Vilna told this student, it's good that you got scared, but you don't have to be in bed for that. You should know what's the truth. So the same thing, says Moshe Rabbeinu to Am Yisrael, they got so scared, they didn't want to come to shir anymore. So say, Atem Nitzavim Hayom. You're all standing over here. Don't be scared. You heard it, you know the truth, right? And that's going to keep you alive. What does it mean? Rav Yisrael Salanter asked a question. He says, how come in the order of things, we have Rosh Hashanah, then Yom Kippurim, right? Should be just the opposite. Why are we judged? And could be you were judged like not in favor, you were judged for the other chova. Should be the opposite. We should have had Yom Kippur first, asking Hashem, I'm sorry, chatati, aviti, pashati. Then you do tshuva, and once you do tshuva, then you can come to Yom Adin. Then you're going to be, your case is going to be much clearer, right? So the Rabbi says something, it should be the opposite. He says, no. The thing we don't understand is because people think always think they're doing the right things. Me? What am I doing wrong? Right? You ask a person, why don't you put tefillin? Why do you keep Shabbat? Me? I don't smoke, I don't take drugs, I don't kill anybody, I don't...
Even vegetarian.
Vegetarian. Okay? People don't understand what's wrong. They just think they're doing the right thing, right? The Midrash calls it, Rav Yochanan Leibovich says, Olchim b'choshech. Those are people walking in the dark because they don't know the right path, the right way. They think they're on the right path, but they're in the wrong way completely. The only way the person can be on the right path if he's going to have a light. And the only light can shine on a person if he fears Hashem. Yir'ah. If you fear Hashem, then Hashem gives you light. That's what the Midrash says. Why do we say the Mizmor, LeDavid, Adonai, Ori v'Yishim Meira, Adonai Moschai Mifchad? We said for 51 days, right? Why? Because the Midrash says, LeDavid, Adonai, Ori v'Yishi. Ori, b'yom Rosh Hashanah. Ishi, b'yom HaKippurim. Ki yitzpeneni besuko, b'yom Ra'ah, the Sukkot. So it mentions all the 3 holidays. But what does it say about Rosh Hashanah? Ori. Rosh Hashanah is the Or. Rosh Hashanah shows you, right, what are you doing wrong. So Rav Israel Salanter explains that's why that we do Rosh Hashanah first, to be scared. Rosh Hashanah is din, right? First we're scared from the din. Once you're scared, you get a little bit of light. Once you get a little bit of light, then you can correct what you did wrong. You cannot start with Kippur because you're going to tell yourself, me, I didn't do anything wrong. What am I doing wrong during the year? I'm not doing nothing wrong, right? No, so you are olech b'choshech. You're walking in the dark. First know what you did wrong, and then you're going to do tshuvat mishkal. You're going to do a tshuva to balance, right, the averot you did. And for that, it takes pachad. It takes fear. Once you fear Hashem, right, you come into Yom Adin, and you didn't ask sorry. So basically, you're judged as is. You're judged with your averot. Then you get scared. Wow. So maybe over there, I have more chovah than zchut, right? That's what Hashem exactly wanted. You to be fearing the din. Once you fear the din, Hashem puts light on you. Ori. Right? And then Ishi. Then you'll be able to save the wrong people. Right? So to tell you how much is important, right? To know that you're in the wrong place. Or they're doing the wrong thing. A lot of people do not want to hear, right? Some people, right, say, no, talk to people about love Hashem. Hashem is good, love Hashem. That's very good. That's very good. But telling people love Hashem and bad things, these people do not escalate. They're never going to go into the right level. Because they always say Hashem is good. He's going to continue doing averot. And love Hashem, yeah, from time to time I give tzedakah, from time to time I do tefillin, from time to time I keep Shabbat a little bit, It doesn't work this way. Yir'ah, ahava. Ahava, loving Hashem is already a higher level. Loving Hashem is a higher level, right? But first you have to understand, maze Hashem, right? What's Hashem? They say one time, there was a king, he passed by, and somebody threw a rock, right? Like a little bit Trump. They shot him. In the olden days, they used to throw rocks. They didn't have guns. They didn't shoot presidents. They didn't kill them. They threw a rock. It missed the king. It missed him. And right away, the bodyguards, they saw who threw it. They grabbed him. For sure, they were about to kill him and everything. So the king, says, bring him to me tomorrow. They brought him, this person, the next day to the king. And the king says, okay, I want you to take him to the bathhouse, give him a good sauna, a good bath, make him clean, cut his hair, to bring him here. I want you to give him very important clothes, he's going to be one of my closest advisors. Everybody looks at the king. This guy is about to throw a rock on you, maybe kill you. He says, do what I say. They went, they took him. The guy didn't believe it. He thought he's dreaming or something. Maybe something is hiding behind. And this guy became the closest advisor to the king. He was eating with him breakfast, lunch, or supper. He was going on trips with him. And the king got closer and closer to him. This person, as he was getting closer and closer to the king, all one day he started crying. So the king asked him, why are you crying? He says, I just realized, what did I throw a rock on you for? How can I dare throw a rock on you? What did I think? I don't understand what I was thinking. So I really don't know where to put myself. The king told him, that's exactly the point I want you to get. I wanted you to get to the point you know who I am, and now you're going to appreciate and understand who I am. A lot of people don't understand what's Hashem. Angels fear Hashem. Angels, which are very close to Hashem, right? They fear Hashem. There is angels, they just hear Hashem's name, they get burnt. They're called seraphim. Seraphim, milashon srefa. They hear Hashem passing by, they melt. There is chayot, there is animals. When they hear Hashem passing by, they fill up with fear. Out of them comes out sweat. Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, there's a river that gets formed just from their sweat of those animals. Chayot HaKodesh. So what are we saying? Hashem is good. Hashem. Okay, for sure Hashem is good. But you understand what's Hashem? You understand what does it mean Hashem? Or you think it's your body, your friend, right? There was a rabbi in Beis Yaakov. He told us once a story. He told us that he was originally from Texas. This rabbi was huge, like he was big. He was like a Texas guy, like those. So one day he says, I was walking I was walking in the street and a bigger guy than me, he was really like 6 foot something. I don't know, he's really 6 foot, and he was built. He says, a bigger guy than me came over to me. He says, hey, Rabbi, because he's someone with a hat and a beard. He says, hey, Rabbi, me and Hashem are buddies. He says, oh yeah? And the guy looked like L'Avdil Goy. He says, how are you buddy with Hashem? What do you mean? It's your friend? He says, you don't know, me and Hashem are like this. He says, yeah, will you put tefillin every day? He says, no. Do you eat kosher? No. Do you keep Shabbat? No. So how are you buddy with Hashem? How did you get buddy to Hashem? He says, you don't know. He was Ashkenaz, this guy. He was Jewish. He was Ashkenaz. And he was in Russia. He was, no, he was Chiloni. He was in Russia, and they drafted him to the army, right? And when they brought him to the army, for sure there was no kosher, there was no Shabbat. In the army, the Russian army was nothing, right? That's why the Chafetz Chaim wrote so many books for the soldiers in Russia and in Poland. Those soldiers, those Jewish souls that sometimes yeshiva boys were drafted to the army, and there was no kosher. So the Chafetz Chaim wrote a book how they should be dealing with the food, with the kosher food, and Shabbat, how they should deal with Shabbat, a lot of things. He wrote special books for them. So this guy said, so Be'emet, he didn't keep kosher over there, he didn't keep Shabbat, but there was one thing that Kippur, he was not willing to give Kippur. Kippur, he was not willing to give up. But he was thinking, how can I keep Kippur? They're never going to let me keep Kippur. For sure not. He was thinking and he came up with an idea. What was the idea? There was a rule in the army. If you get pulled out a tooth, you have 24-hour rest. You get 24-hour rest. Why? Because pulling out a tooth in the Russian army was not with anesthesia and not with normal tools. They would take a plier, a regular plier, and they open your mouth. They would put some vodka on your tooth, and the guy would come. He would kill you. You would need 24 hours to recuperate from that, even more, but 24 hours. So the guy said it's worth it for him to pull out the tooth and to have 24-hour rest so he can stay on Kippur in bed. So then he goes to the rabbi. Rabbi, do you think I pulled out one tooth? I pulled out 6 teeth. 6 years he did it in a row. every year on Kippur, Erev Kippur, he would tell them, his tooth is hurting me. They wouldn't check if you have a kind of root canal or you have a small cavity. No, they just pull out the tooth. He was willing to put out 6 teeth in order to keep Kippur, right? So this says, you understand why is Hashem in my body? Body. Okay, so Badai B'Shamayim, when he comes, wow, look what he was Moser Nefesh for Kippur. Habibi, what about kosher? What about Shabbat? So you're going to have a merit over here called pulling out teeth for Kippur. But Habibi, Kippur is 1 out of the 613, there's 612. You know, you're going to be like this. You're going to be like this. So you understand, Hashem is not your friend. Hashem loves us. Hashem gives us the best, right? But we should know who is Hashem. Am Israel realized it. When they realized they saw Parashat Kitavo with all the things, they couldn't get out of bed next day. So Moshe Rabbeinu had to stand them up. Atem Nitzavim-You, don't be scared. You just have to know the truth. Hashem doesn't want you to be scared of him, right? A father also, when he corrects his son, does he want to be scared from him? No, Chad Shalom. He wants to respect, that's all. We just have to respect Hashem. You respect only somebody you know what's the value of somebody. If you know what he's worth, you know what it is all about, you respect. When you don't respect somebody, that's where you misrespect, right? So Hashem just wants us to understand who He is, right? This whole creation is a grain of sand in what Hashem has over there, right? So we have to understand the Torah. When the Torah is not trying to scare us, Chaz Shalom. That's why the Ezra Sofer, the Shulchan Aruch brings down Ezra Sofer instaured that we read Parashat Kitavo before Rosh Hashanah. That we should start fearing Hashem. We should start fearing Hashem. And that's a preparation for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is a second preparation, right? Once you have this preparation, you're ready for Kippur. Kippur comes after all that, right? To tell us that it's very important, right? It's very important that we should know, right? We should know what are we doing in this world, right? And you should know, it literally means, we should know who are we standing in front of. Hashem fills the whole world, right? But sometimes we don't realize it. So that's why they tell you, if you see certain things in the creation, you see a mountain, right? 1 second. How did this mountain become, right? Hashem. Yotzer Harim uborei ruach. Hashem created this mountain. You see the size of this mountain? The Everest or the Alps is not even the size of an angel. The Gemara in Chagiga, Daf Yud Gimel or Yud Bet on Beis, the Gemara says, you know what's an angel? An angel is, first of all, there is 7 heavens, right? Each heaven, from one heaven to the other one, right? To the other one, is if it will be possible to walk 500 years, it will take you 500 years to walk from one place to the other place, from one heaven to the other one, and from this one to the other one. And he says the angels, just their feet come down to this world, just their feet. The ankle of an angel is touching this world. So what's the size of an angel, right? The Gemara says on every rakia, on every heaven, the angels become bigger and bigger. Elanu musag, we cannot even start imagining what's the worlds above us, right? And where is Kisei HaKavod? Kisei HaKavod is above everything, above the 7 heavens, right? So what's Hashem? What's Hashem?
Everything.
Right? So just thinking about, right? The Meraglim, the spies, when they went to Israel, they saw giants. How big those giants? 8 feet, 10 feet. They themselves were big. The Meraglim themselves were big. They say the Meraglim, Moshe Rabbeinu was, some say 5 meters, like 15 feet. Some say 7.5 feet. They were big. The giants in Israel were even bigger, right? And that's giants, Bnei Adam. But we don't understand what's an angel, right? That's why they say, look at the difference between David HaMelech and Esav HaRasha, right? Esav HaRasha when he was about to attack Yaakov, Vaishlach Malachim lefanav. He sent angels to him. So the angels told him, the angels came and started hitting Esav. He said, hey, I'm the son of Yitzchak Avinu. Yeah, we don't care. They continued hitting him. He says, no, I'm the grandson of Avraham Avinu. We don't care. They continue hitting him, right? I'm the brother of Yaakov. Ah, you're the brother of Yaakov? Okay, so they let go of him, right? So they say, he was just getting hit. That's why he wanted to stop them, but he was not scared of them. David HaMelech, he saw a malach once in his life. He saw once in his life. What happened to him? When David HaMelech got old, they were covering him, and he didn't get why. So the one version is because he cut the corner of the cape of Shaul HaMelech, and one version because he saw a malach with a sword tilting towards Yerushalayim, right? You see a malach? That was a malach. Some people say, I hope to see malachim. If you see a malach, look at David HaMelech, tzaddik, chassid, whatever you want, the wrote Tehillim, he, at the end of this day, he couldn't lo yechamlo. His body was so shivering for seeing a malach. So it means our musag, our concept of malachim, our concept of Hashem, is not the real concept. Why? Because we don't have ira'ah, enough of fear. So that's why they bring down Rav Yisrael Salanter, Rav Yitzchak Blazer, all those, they say, in the olden generation, like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, when they used to just announce Rosh Chodesh Elul, the rabbis were trembling. All the rabbis, all the community, they were trembling just to hear Elul, right? People say, hear Elul, okay, I'm going to learn a little bit more. No, you should be trembling Yom Adin. You should think about, what does it mean? It means in 1 month, right? You're about to think. Imagine they bring down like a mashal. You get a letter to your house. It says, you're blamed with this and this and this. You're over on this seif in the law, on this seif, right? You're about to be judged on this. The person looks at it. Whoa! When did I do all these things, right? And you start getting scared. So now he goes to a lawyer. It's going to cost him money, right? So I tell you the same thing. Elul is the same thing. You samam to din. You samam to Yom Adin, right? So milo ira. Who doesn't tremble Yom Adin? So that's why Rav Yitzchak Blazer used to say, fish in the ocean, they're scared from Elul. You see them running. Fish are running. Go try to fish on Elul. You wouldn't catch as many fish as during the year because they're running. They're going from one place to the other. You won't be able to catch them. Why? Not because they're scared from your net or from your bait. Because they're scared from Hashem. They are running all over. They don't know where to put themselves, right? In mipachat Hashem, from the fear of Hashem. But again, like the Gra said to the Stalmid, you should know what it is Hashem. Hashem does not expect you to fear Him. Hashem expects you to love Him. Avraham Avinu reached the top madriga, the top level, like it says, Avraham Oavi. But you cannot love Hashem unless you understand what is Hashem. Like this person, this peasant, that threw a rock on Hashem, on the king. He cannot understand what's the king unless the king gets him closer to him and he sees what's the kingdomship is all about, what's the king is all about. Then he starts loving him and don't understand, how come I throw a rock on him? I didn't understand.
Why is it called Yiras Shamayim?
Huh?
Why is it called Yiras Shamayim?
Yiras Shamayim, for sure you're supposed to have Yiras Shamayim. This is...
But not only fear, but also fear.
Right, also fear. How does the Shema, how does all Malchut Shamayim start? Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha. Right? You should love. You should, on Shema, you reach the highest level, you come to love Hashem. But you cannot come to love Hashem unless you have Yiras Shamayim. What fear? Fear is the first madriga, it's the first level. Ahava is the second level, but it's a much, much higher level. That's what the Gemara says. Whoever fears Hashem, he gets a certain reward. But the reward is double if you come to love Hashem. Right? But in order to love Hashem, you have to understand He's so good. After you see what's the goodness of Hashem, then you're able to reach this madriga. So, B'at Hashem, this is Rosh Hashanah, is very soon, right? But we should know it's not a folkloric holiday, dipping the apple in the honey, and coming to the synagogue, and listening to shofar, and going to tashlich on the first day of afternoon. This is Minagei Israel, this is what it's supposed to do. But it's not like, beautiful, I love it. Some people, I cannot wait to eat the apple and the honey. I am waiting this holiday. That's why you're waiting for the holiday, to dip the apple in the honey. This is Yom Adin, right? This is just a candy this is like a Tylenol to make you relax a little bit. You shouldn't get so scared, you lose your mind, right? But people take it as a candy. Wow, I love that, right? And all the kids. This is not, if you read about it and you understand, right? There is a sefer called Reshit Chochmah, Rabbi David Davidash, right? Reshit Chochmah, if you read about it, he's describing the din and the pachad and the thing. Sometimes people cannot even reach half a book. And all this is a myth. All this is a myth. They say, I read once the Chafetz Chaim, one of his students, Rav Naftali something, one of his students saw the Chafetz Chaim going into a room and starting to talk to himself. The Chafetz Chaim used to do it a lot. He used to talk to himself. And he started to talk to himself, and he said like this, Rabbi Meir, you know what's going to happen when you die? You die, and you're on the floor, and it takes a few minutes or maybe an hour till they're going to find you. Meanwhile, you cannot move, and the horde, they come, they pick you up, and you're dead, and you're declared dead, and they bring you to a morgue, and you are freezing in the morgue, and you have always to be with a sweater, you're going to be freezing in the morgue, and then you're going to go up to Shamayim, and they're waiting for you over there. He used to talk to himself. Scare himself. He used to scare himself, right? That's the Chafetz Chaim, right? Tzaddik Yesod Olam. This week was his Hilula. On the Chav Daled Elul was his Hilula, right? So he was making himself scared to understand what's Hashem. And is anybody reached the level of loving Hashem like Chafetz Chaim? Chafetz Chaim kulo ahava vechom. And he, right, and love for Hashem and for his Am Yisrael, right? But you have to understand, there's a way to go up there. And the way to up there is to realize Hashem. So Al Hashem, so Be'emet Rosh Hashanah ye Ori, right? And then Yom Kippurim Ishi, right? And then we reach Itzpeneni B'Zchut. Och Adonai La'olam. רבי חנניה בן הקשה אומר,